What's up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, and I am here to react to The Woman King. I pretty much flipped a coin today because I'm on call today. And I headed home, and when I got to the theater near me, I decided there was two movies I needed to see. I was either going to have to watch The Woman King or I was going to watch Clerks 3. Whichever one was playing the soonest at the theater was the one I was going to see. I got to the theater. They got signs for Clerks 3 up. They have signs for The Woman King up. I look on the board. I see Woman King is up there starting in 15 minutes. There's no Clerks on that board. No Clerks 3 on that board. So I went and saw The Woman King. Now, I can say for this movie, I've been a party to a few reviews. I've taken in a few reviews on it. The last one I took in before watching this movie was the Crimson Cure, Kendra's review of The Woman King, which I thought was interesting, of more interest to me because it's a black woman looking at it for what she was looking at it for, what she was seeing in it. And some of the stuff she mentioned in the movie actually made me want to see the movie and see how they got to that point, how that even came up. Now, I already heard Dr. Tia-san's review a couple days ago and took some points from that too and was like, I really don't want to see this fucking movie. I really don't, but I kind of have to, right? So add a couple extra bucks. I chumped it up. I bought my $12 ticket and $23 worth of fucking snacks and watched this damn movie. And was dreading the fact that I was in there to watch the movie the whole time. But something interesting happened in the movie. And before I say that, I'll say this: like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. I forgot to say it earlier. But I'm sitting here wrestling with an idea after watching that movie. I'm wrestling with an idea. It is not really like it's a tough wrestling match, like you got yourself lathered down with palm oil so can't nobody get a hand on you, a good grip on you. It's not that. It is, I'm sitting here thinking about what I know now is wrong with the movie. And I'm thinking about criticism as a whole of this current crop of projects that are out there, be it She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, the fucking Woman King, the Wakanda Forever coming. There is a lot of criticism and vagina stuffed in your face if you're a guy, and not in the way that you like. Not in the way that you would like. And a lot of it is throwing some narratives in there that nobody is comfortable with or likes. The mass group that they're pitching it to, right? Now, this is not a geek movie, but I don't just review or watch geek movies. I don't. I watch all kinds of movies. If you're watching the stream Sunday, I was pointing out The Hustler from 1961 with Paul Newman, a black and white movie. Is this a story? And one of the things I was saying was that I get into stories. I don't give a shit about the main character necessarily if it looks like me or whatever. I want to know if the character has a struggle that I can identify with. If it doesn't, then I'm probably going to be checking out a movie. I'm not going to be interested. I'm not going to be invested. It's just how it's going to go. I'm more concerned with the story rather than the set dressing. Right? That's why I don't really get down with a lot of the diversity comments because I didn't ask for that shit. Just tell me a fucking story. Tell me the story that you want to tell me, and I will watch it and judge it on what you have to tell me. Now, out the gate, we already know this tribe of the Dahomey was huge in the slave trade. Huge in the slave trade in Africa. They weren't the only ones, but they were. We know that as being a fact. Now, knowing that as being a fact is something that we already know is there and it exists. It's a truism. Doesn't take you to the point of not watching this fucking movie, right? It just lets you know off rip it is probably factually inaccurate. It is. You know that right off the bat. It's like anytime you watch a movie and it says based on a true story, look, you can have a soup that has a base of chicken stock and not taste a goddamn lick of chicken in it. Okay? That's all it means. That's all it means. That's all base means. It's based on a true story. Well, most of the shit is made up, is what they're telling. Inspired by a true story. Meaning, yeah, we knew that was it, but we got to jazz it up a little bit so we can sell a movie. You know, be that as it may, any historical movie that you have seen that happens in a historical period, most of them are fucking inaccurate as hell. Because their main thrust, their main goal in 2 hours that you're sitting your ass in the seats, drinking soda pop and eating popcorn is not to give you a fucking history lesson. Nobody goes to the movies necessarily for a history lesson. They don't. You go to history class for free. There's some kids in school right now going to history class tomorrow, and they ain't fucking interested, and ain't nobody paying them to go do it and listen to no lecture. So the movie's job is to fucking entertain you with some smattering of some realness, so it kind of suspends the disbelief a little bit to get you to the point that you can actually just watch the movie. Now, one of the things I walk out of this movie thinking is, what do I have to remove from this movie to watch it clean? Because I've watched so many reviews of shit already. Right? I've seen at least, 2 reviews and 2 pre-reviews of just the trailer in history on this Dahomey tribe. That, yes, these women warriors actually existed. Were they in the numbers that they are in the movie? No. No, they weren't. Were they out there killing up shit and just indomitable? No. They got murked. They got fucked up. Don't we all? But all be that as it may, that means that all of the historical parts of it that are inaccurate in some ways can be divorced from watching the fucking movie because you understand it's not going to be accurate because it's a fucking movie. So what are you left with? You're left with the movie and what you can find the most objectionable about it. I don't have a problem with female protagonists in movies. I really don't. It's nothing to me because the story is more important. So if the story could be equally or just as good interchangeable with a male or a female, it's just the story standing on its own. The people are just set dressing, right? So watching this, the thing that comes to mind, the parallel that I draw with this is the movie RRR, Rise, Roar, and Revolt. I think I got that. And in that movie, the most interesting part about the movie is that the characters in that movie were real. They were real people. They really lived in that part of India and fought for freedom of their people. They really did. Those are real people. The story was completely made up. It was just fucking fiction. They just made the story up. Because technically, the two main characters in that never met. But since it's based on true people, they told a story about, well, what happened if they actually did meet? All the rest of the shit was fiction. All of it. And RRR is an awesome movie. I've watched that motherfucker like 4 times already. 4, just for the fuck of it. And it's long. 3 hours long. I've watched it more times than I've watched Matrix Resurrection. So coming out of this movie, I'm left with the same type of feeling. And asking myself the question and wrestling with the thought that did the people in India who saw RRR really get pissed how historically inaccurate the shit was? Or did they just watch it and accept it as a fucking movie? Now, given some of the comments I got in my comment section, it's a little of both. A little bit. Some things were inaccurate, but overall, they loved the shit. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I don't know that because I don't live in that fucking culture. Culture I do live in is black folks. And right now, for black folks in America, for black men in America, we have been getting beat over the head for the last goddamn 50 years of my living with women is better than us. They can kick your ass, they faster, they smarter, they just better. And I'm reminded of the comment from Dr. Tiasan about his son, who is a what, Gen Z or whatever, maybe Alpha. In the conversation they had, that he had never seen a boy be better than a woman at anything, a girl at anything in his lifetime. And all those thoughts are swirling while I'm coming out of this movie after the credits are rolling and I'm sitting back thinking about what I just watched, what I liked about it, what I disliked about it, what worked, what didn't work. And I begrudgingly have to come away and say the fucking movie wasn't that damn bad. And that bothers it kind of bothers me, but if I'm going to be honest with myself, which I'm always going to do, wasn't that fucking bad. On just being on the movie. Because we already acknowledged right off the bat, this is not going to be historically fucking accurate. It's not. No way in hell. But was it an entertaining movie? Hmm. I watched this movie and I see these fight scenes with these chicks going out there and fighting, and they all sisters, right? Some of them light skinned did, but they pushed them to the back. And all the dark skinned sisters up front, kicking ass and taking names. And I watch that and think about everything that works against this movie and what makes this scene either believable or not believable. Is it, in my belief, is it believable to me that a possibly 150-pound woman, black woman, muscular, can take on probably a 250 dude? Well, ego would say, hell no, right? Ego would say, hell no. My pride as a man would say, fuck no, right? But then something comes to mind. There is a such thing as World Star. There is a such thing as Instagram, where you can readily go on there and find videos of black women kicking the shit out of some dudes right now in the real world. So then I go back to the movie and I'm watching this. And then I'm asking myself the second question. Did I feel any differently about this shit when I saw Scarlett Johansson kicking some big dude's ass? Did I feel any different about it when I saw Sarah Connor kicking some dude's ass? Did I feel any different about it when Red Sonja or any other one of these female protagonists that I actually like kicked the shit out of some dude? Fuck. Did I find it objectionable when I watched Hit Girl or fucking Hit Girl, or not Hit Girl, but you know the fuck I'm talking about from the Kick Ass movie? Yeah, it was Hit Girl. Kill up a whole room full of dudes. And she's supposed to be a teenager. Equally, if not more so, as objectionable and as suspended disbelief. With no onus up front to tell you it was based on a true story or real people. None whatsoever. So I have to sit back and look at this shit. It's like, well, what am I actually objecting to? Am I supposed to object to it just because it's women kicking dudes' asses? Well, obviously that doesn't seem to be a fucking problem. Because I've watched movies where women have kicked dudes' ass. And I either accept it or I don't accept it based on the person who's doing it and what the fucking story is. Because at the end of the day, it's just a fucking movie. So I think about it, and what comes to the surface after you remove it's not historically accurate. Yeah, we know. Comes up to the second thing. Was women kicking men's asses? Dude, if I watched a movie with Gina Carano right now, what's that recent movie? Terror on the Prairie, I bet you she kicked some dude's ass. I bet money she kicked some dude's ass. And Gina Carano is a legit fighter. So I'm left with, if it's not the woman thing, it's not the history, it's not the woman thing, what is it? Is it that they're black women? No. I have a problem with a black woman who can kick ass. Don't have a problem with it at all. I like to see it in some of my geek properties with established characters. None of this shit they made up for a movie or in the last 10 years. So no, I don't think so. Because they had one of my favorite Instagram people who Charles Faulkner introduced me to, which was Samuel Ryder. She's in the movie doing her shit. Do I not think she could kick some dude's ass? At what is she, 5'6" maybe? Trained martial artist? No, I think she could kick a dude's ass. 250-pound dude? Maybe. But it ain't her fucking movie. So then I have to ask myself, if it's not that it's historically inaccurate, if it's not that it's women, if it's not that it's black women, what is it really? What is it that really supposed to be objectionable about this shit? Because it's not like this shit was pulled out their ass that these women didn't exist. They did. So, man, it was there. And what it comes down to, finally, is the depiction of black men in this. And this is what the white geeks really won't touch. They really don't want to touch this. That's why you don't see a lot of them doing no reviews on this shit. They're looking at us to see how we react to this shit. Because they know what's waiting for them if they jump out there and say shit. You got a racist comment and a flurry of bullshit inbound. Don't you open your lips. Don't you crack your lips to whisper about this shit. You better act like you got Black Bolt's powers and keep your fucking mouth closed. Because you will get flamed. But it's also the same thing, similar, I think, for a black man saying wasn't that goddamn bad. That's not the popular narrative. That's not where we at. So how did black men look in this shit? I can't say that they looked in a positive light. I can't say that. I mean, the one that could possibly be looked at in anything sort of a positive light is, Steph Curry brother and this motherfucker Malik, who's supposed to be Brazilian in Dahomey, his black mama and his Portuguese Brazilian daddy came back with the light eyes and the curly hair and the damn near pale skin, came back to Africa to go back to where his mama was from. He tried to help out. The king, played by John Boyega, um, Gozi, I think his name was. You forgive me, I'll forget the African names because I'm not used to the names and stuff. But was he terrible? Was he weak? He was new. Said it right in the fucking dialogue. He was a new king. His brother was previously the king. Now I kind of miss what happened with his brother, but the dude is new. He's a new king. He ain't been there that long. So, given the context of the story, that leads him to being inexperienced. Now, mind you, I'm coming off of watching 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. Watching this whole king and succession shit over and over again. And some people who ain't trained for the position right get in there and become some shitty kings. Ineffective. And nobody say they watched season 6 and saw King Tommen and thought he was ready for the job. He was not ready, but he was in position. I'm looking at this dude, John Boyega's character, the same way. Oh, you're a new king? Okay, you ain't ready. You weren't ready. Now, it's tough to try to say that it was absolutely shit because I went into it believing it was absolutely shit. I'll put this up on my Instagram and on the community tab that I was walking in this movie to get shit in my face. And for the most part, I watched it and I thought about it while I was watching it and like 1823 in Africa. If you're in Africa, surrounded by Africans, who the fuck are you going to war with most of the time? People that look like you, other black folks. Now, thinking of this while I was watching the movie brought to mind another movie where it was straight up black on black. And it was a fucked up true event that happened. And the movie was Hotel Rwanda with Don Cheadle. Now, that came to mind because it was a true story. It was a protagonist who was a black male, but he wasn't a king. He worked in a hotel. And he became responsible for trying to save all these people in this hotel from people who look just like him, other black folks in Africa, who decided, y'all on the wrong side of this shit, we gonna kill y'all. That's just what it is. You know, the Hutus and the Tutsis, or the Hutus and the Tutsis. I may have said the other part wrong, but you get the fucking deal. So if I'm thinking of Hotel Rwanda and I'm watching this movie and thinking, oh, it's fucking terrible, these fucking women out there killing these black men. Who the fuck else is in Africa? Do they not right now fight amongst each other with just tribes? Is that not a realism right now? And so I'm seeing this like, so what am I supposed to be objecting to about this shit? Because far as I know, the first person you would kill is the person that looks like you. Native Americans seem to do it with all their tribes. Caucasians seem to do it all throughout Europe and shit, right? Is it far-fetched to believe that black folks in Africa was killing other black folks? If that was the only place it wasn't happening, it would be historically inaccurate for human nature. So I have to look at this and think, okay, so if they're the only kingdom that have this small contingent of female soldiers, everybody else doesn't, which is what makes them special, who the fuck are they going up against? Men. That's who they're going up against. They're not going up against a bunch of other women regiments. They're going up against a bunch of other tribes. That's men. So I'm watching that and thinking, well, that'd be how it played out. If it was only 50 of them, it wouldn't even matter. If they got into a battle with another tribe, they was gonna be fighting 50 against whatever men is on that other side. That's just what it's gonna fucking be. It don't matter if you think it's wrong. It don't matter if you think it's right. That's just what the fuck is gonna be across that line. Because any warrior knows you go to war with the crew you got, not the crew you want. And if all you got is the fucking women, then that's what the fuck you rolling with. And they kind of explained it in the beginning of the movie that most of the men was either killed or captured and sold off to slavery because some other tribe caught they bitch asses and shipped them off. Okay. This is what's happening in the movie. This is the time we're in. Now, could they have been that damn good? I don't know. And I'll get to you guys' comments in a second. I'm just letting my mental flow go. Part of this movie in the beginning made me think of Black Panther. Like they took it like directly from Black Panther. But here's the thing. When I watched Black Panther and he dropped out of the royal ship, I never freeze, and he jumped down there and started kicking all them dudes' asses. You know those is black folks too, right? It's all black folks. But we thought it was awesome. I thought it was awesome. So if I thought that was awesome when they're supposed to be in Africa, they stopping some fucking what were they, traders, raiders, whatever, they had kidnapped a bunch of people in the back of a truck, and they out there killing these motherfuckers. Why do I clap for this when one of them was a woman? But then I watched this when it's all chicks, and I'm supposed to hate that shit. Like, oh, that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that a woman could kill you with a sword? Nigga, we got motherfuckers dying on a regular basis from some mysterious phone number in their phone, stabbed by a bitch and dying. And she wasn't trained for shit. So what's unbelievable? That swords don't cut, or a woman can't swing one to kill a motherfucker? Because it's not like they out there hand to hand motherfuckers just bobbing and weaving, sticking and moving. No. They're using weapons. I seem not to have a problem with female martial artists. They usually train with weapons, meaning they could probably kill a motherfucker if it came down to it, big or small. So I really have to ask myself, well, what am I supposed to be really objecting to right now? I'm watching this shit. I'm not seeing fights that just seem like they overly tilted in one side, like, oh, she's just totally overpowering it. The only one that was marginally looking like that was fucking ridiculous is Viola Davis character fighting this big ass dude, the 250-pound dude, head up. I'm like, this motherfucker looked like M'Bako little brother. And he sure did give her a 2-piece and a biscuit. Yeah. Now, do I want to believe that she could have took that shit? I don't know. I seem to remember a video where a bus driver gave a bitch an uppercut for spitting on him or whatever. And she ate that shit and got up off the ground right away. She took all of that shit. You going to jail now. He gave her a whole Tyson uppercut. She ate all of that shit. Hit the ground and bounced right back up and was ready to brawl. I don't know. This is just me matching up what I'm watching on the screen to reality that I know should happen. Can I see this going that way? Can I see a bunch of chicks running out the bushes with short ass machetes carving up a bunch of niggas? Yes. You know why? The same reason you can believe that there's a Chinese dude walking around right now that don't know a lick of fucking kung fu. All dudes don't know how to fucking fight. And they will be woefully out of their element if they run up on somebody who's smaller than them and does know how to fight. They're going to die. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I'm watching fight scenes. I'm seeing shit go down. I'm like, they just hacking these motherfuckers up. They just quicker. And clever enough, they grease themselves up like fucking wrestlers. So it's hard to get a hand on them. Like, oh, well, that'd be the teller. There ain't nothing on them that's flowing and something that can be grabbed and shit like that. No, nigga, everything is streamlined. Hair even pulled back. Even, I'll just say this is my belief. Even in trained fighters that get into a mixed fight with a woman and a man, there's still something in the back of a man's mind that will not make him hit that bitch with everything he got. It is a small percentage of men who will really go in all the way like that. Small percentage. You know why? because we all came from a woman. We all suckled at a woman, most of us. So innately, we have that protection chip in our brain for a female. The closer to us you look, the more it's active. You have to actually get to a point and have to go through a mental process and journey to become the type of man who would see a woman no different than a man and hit her with the full gusto of God if it came down to a situation like that. Very few. That's why a lot of us end up killed by women. That's why. Because if every man had that shit to where they didn't give a fuck like that, you would see less of us dying from domestic violence shit. You'd see a lot more women dying from that shit. So me watching this movie and seeing chicks who are trained going out and fighting dudes that act undisciplined as fuck as fighters, am I supposed to not believe they would win? What undisciplined force has ever beat one that is actually trained and has tactics? I don't know of one, but I don't know everything either. So if you do, put on your fucking smart cap and get up there and try to teach somebody something. So beyond the historical inaccuracy, beyond the fact that it's fucking women, beyond the fact that it's black women, beyond the fact that black men look bad in this shit, and beyond the point that women is kicking men's ass in this shit, comes down to the other point. Who wrote this shit? A couple of progressive feminist white women. Okay. And then I had to ask myself the question. Would I have went and saw Black Panther if somebody white had wrote it? And that's kind of a trick question because the Black Panther character was created by a couple of white dudes. Funny how that works, right? I also went through my mind and started thinking about all these other movies that have actually been about black folks and slavery and any of that shit, and actually start trying to think how many of them were actually made by black folks. And I went back to some of them seminal movies that you're supposed to see, like Amistad and Rosewood and all this shit, and have to think, who wrote that shit? Who wrote those movies? Were they black folks or were they white folks? Even, 12 Years a Slave, that's supposed to be based on a true story, right? Who wrote it? So then I have to think, so is it supposed to be objectionable all of a sudden that some white folks wrote some shit with a bunch of black characters in it that's supposed to be historically or taken from history based on a true story? Am I supposed to be all of a sudden up in arms about the shit? Well, this kind of goes back to my point I was making yesterday in my monologue about making your own shit. That you cannot expect anybody else to tell a decent story about you if you won't write the shit. They're going to give you their depiction, how they see it from the outside. You don't like that shit? Write your own. Then you can get it right. But in the absence of us being there, that's what the fuck you get. These two goofy bitches can do the same thing you do. Google shit. And pull out a couple of facts that they thought were pertinent and a couple of scenes from other movies that they like. Biggity bam, we got a goddamn script. And we gonna shop it around. Since we've been in Hollywood a little while, we know some people. So am I supposed to be upset about that shit? I'd say 99.9% of all media I've consumed in 50 years has been written by white folks about black folks, white folks, Asian folks, goblins, gremlins, orcs, all kind of shit. Is this really where I'm gonna go with this shit? So I find myself at a loss, being this one man on this fucking float of ice out there saying, okay, I saw the movie, with all these things being true that are outside the movie. What is the movie? Because what I'm here to review is the movie, not the history. So what's the movie? Is it awesome? No, it's not awesome. It ain't an awesome fucking movie. Is it a terrible movie? No, it's not a terrible movie. Fuck, She-Hulk is doing worse than this right now. And you get a weekly installment of that motherfucker. It has produced enough episodes to equal a movie, and only one of those episodes out of all of those has actually been fucking decent. Or at least something to talk about, not in a pissed off sense. Rings of Power has produced more episodes that would equal a fucking movie. Is it better than this shit? No. At least I wasn't bored watching this. So relatively speaking, no, it's not bad. It ain't Dark Phoenix. So there's the quandary. Therein lies the rub. What did I like about it? I have my dislikes. I like the opening scenes where it was really green and red, and that did look beautiful. After that, they was in the same set the whole time. So it wasn't much to see. I didn't like their cuts. Their editor need to be shot in the fucking face. Metaphorically speaking. Because their cuts in that shit were terrible. The editorial story cuts were fucking terrible. It was so fucking abrupt. It was like getting splashed with a bucket of cold water. Like, wow, now we into the next scene. Like, motherfucker, we can't get a fade, a transition, nothing. It's just this is happening in this. What the fuck? Were we running short on tape? Ain't y'all recording digitally? Editing sucked. John Boyega's acting sucked. The whole time I'm watching John Boyega on that shit, playing the king, there was only one part of it that actually seemed like he was acting a bit, that I'm seeing this character. Everything else was like his rendition of Prince fucking Akeem from Coming to America. And that shit was not entertaining to me. I'm like, motherfucker, what are you doing? That bullshit ass accent. You're doing Eddie Murphy. And he's a comedian. Asshole. I like seeing Lashana Lynch in the shit, but she was acting too much like a dude. She in there just trying to be a dude. And that put my finger on what bothers me about Lashana Lynch sometimes. She too much pretending to be a guy. I don't know which guy she pretending to be, but apparently he's a tough one. That ain't feminine strength. That's a parody of a guy. I bet money if you asked her what was her motivation, what was she thinking of to find this character, it would be some fucking dude that she was trying to emulate. Because she always trying to be too cool but tough. Sheila Atim, she in the shit. But my complaint with Sheila Atim is why do they keep putting you in movies to be pseudo gay for everybody? What the fuck is that? Is she actually a lesbian or what? Because they always throw her in the movie and she got to be pseudo gay for somebody. Like, is it just because you cut your hair? What the fuck? Is that just a running stereotype for you? You comfortable with that? Shit. The other main chick, Duso Basilia, whatever, however you say her name. This little girl, or this 19-year-old girl in this movie, should have got the shit smacked out of her more than once. More than once. You think, oh, he abused me. In the beginning, where she gets smacked by her possible fucking husband, and she say some cross shit to him and he slapped the shit out of her. Yeah, everybody is, oh, that's objectionable. Nah, listen to her mouth. She do it the rest of the fucking movie. Somebody should have been slapping the shit out of her. Who want to hear that little mouthy shit? Last thing you need to do is teach this little bitch how to cut people. Oh no, you ain't never shutting her ass up. Did I like her character? Nawi, what her name was? She's all right, I guess. She's irritating as fuck though. She's about as irritating as Little Leia. About as irritating. Like, you just need to be smacking that chick. 19 or not. She don't look 19. She look fucking 10. 12 at the most. She don't look 19. And pairing her up with this tall ass Steph Curry clone don't make that look no better either. I'm like, hey, I just got Wild Orchid House of the Dragon last week. This week I'm getting this shit? Like, what are y'all on? Pimping off young girls to grown ass men? Long as they not too old? Fucking hell. Okay. Viola Davis. I don't think I've seen a movie where she cried as much. Supposed to be a warrior. But I will say this. They say Lupita Nyong'o passed on this role, right? Good. You know why? Because at least I believe Viola Davis would have no problem trying to kill a dude because she got that hard ass fucking face. And so her buffing up and getting her shoulders out and her back straight, yeah, that looks like a general. She looked like she'd be out willing to kill some niggas. She just do. Works for me. If I could buy her as Amanda Waller, who would kill dudes, I don't see why I should have a problem with her being the woman king, general of the woman regiment. Don't have a problem believing that shit. Not at all. Good fit. Because I don't see her being one of them wives for the king who was sitting up there with the nice clothes on and the makeup. I don't see that happening. Oh no. Nah, nigga. I don't see that happening. That's when the king will really be a dumbass. This old ugly ass bitch. What the fuck? No, she looked like she need to be out there on the front line, ready to put in some work. Just saying. Now, I'd heard somebody say that they don't kill no white dudes in this shit. They do kill a few white dudes at the end. They do kill some white dudes. And the white dudes they kill is all the slavers. You know, the ones that was chaining up black folks, shooting them and shit that they had been trading with. Yeah, they killed them. I had a problem with that shit. They should have killed them. The most objectionable part I saw that I know white boys can be pissed off about is Sheila and Tim tall, look like Manute Bowl little sister ass, got some chains wrapped around her fist, and she beat a white boy unconscious. Yeah, I'm sure they have an issue with that. That seemed a little bit unbelievable, but I don't know. It seems strangely satisfying. Just saying. So, no, they killed some white dudes. And most of the other time in the movie, what was I didn't hear from anybody who reviewed the shit is that it wasn't just them fighting. It wasn't just the little female regiment fighting by themselves. That was in the first scene. Yeah. Other than that, it was a men regiment right there next to them. You know what the men's regiment specialized in? Using the guns. So when they went into battle, the men was right there with them. And I'm watching this and thinking, well, wait a minute, ain't that how it is in Muslim cultures? Women trained by the women, men trained by the men. And they separated, but one unit. I don't see how anybody missed. I was surprised to see that group of men there. Like, oh, I thought this was just all the women. We left something out. Why? They fought together. They was killing motherfuckers together. They was part of a force. They wasn't the whole force. Now, no, you don't get much development on that male group of soldiers because they got a general too. You don't. But you know why? It ain't they fucking movie. It's not. When I watch Glory and I get that black regiment, what was it, 454th? They wasn't telling me about every other just white boy regiment. No. You know why? Because it wasn't their fucking movie. The movie was about this black regiment. And oh, there's another movie about black folks, possibly written by white folks. Just saying. One of the things I liked about this where they got clever. They got smart, which was to me was very fucking ingenious. You know where the enemy is going to come. You know where they're going to camp. So you set up booby traps where they're going to set up and camp. And when they camp there, because they're coming onto your territory, this is what in the art of war would be called, I believe, the chapter on maneuvers that Sun Tzu got into. That you choose the terrain that you fight on. And when they're on your terrain, you should have this shit won. It should be a wrap at that point. And it was a motherfucking wrap. They booby trapped them, shock and all, went in there and killed all the motherfuckers. Or most of them. That's the way it works. Seemed like a sound strategy. I don't understand why I'm supposed to be upset. So, I'm sorry. I watched the shit. It wasn't that goddamn bad. It's just a fucking movie. Is it historically accurate? No fucking way. Does it serve to promote the Dahomey and have people seeing them in a different light? Yes. You know why? Because dumb motherfuckers get their history from movies. They don't go back and look up this shit. The ones who are more inquisitive, who want to find out more about this shit that they saw on the screen, actually go back and look up the real information. And then that's when the knowledge and the intelligence comes in like, oh, okay. This is where the movie was lacking. This is not the real story. The story was they wanted you to be proud of these black women who were fighters. That was the story. In a nutshell. Prop them up, put them on a pedestal for a hot minute. Historically, they existed. They existed. There was a tribe of women fighters that did exist. Did it get into their win-loss record? No, it didn't. But that's not the fucking story. The story is, did they exist? Have you ever seen them before? No. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. And a lot of other motherfuckers who never knew nothing about that shit and would never bother to look the shit up to find out. But that's my 2 cents on the shit. I see a whole hell of a lot of comments in here. You want some Twine Brown? I'll say this. The other thing I didn't like in it, and what made this king seem really stupid. How is it you got your queen in one ear and this other queen in your other ear? Even though he's supposed to be a dude, he got so much fucking sissified feminine energy, he might as well be another bitch in your ear. How you listen to 2 sissy ass motherfuckers? Well, here's the problem. Here's the rub. He wasn't. He was listening to his generator. who is out there fighting like a man. The one who has some fucking masculinity. Because she said it in the dialogue, everybody inside these castle walls, because they had these women in here, was eunuchs. You only get this far if you ain't got no dick. So ain't nobody fucking. And these women in this group basically, you will take no husband, you will father no children. And I listened to that shit, it's like, man, ain't that the code of the Night Watch in Game of Thrones? What is these bitches taking the black? Wait a minute, they going to the wall? They gonna be the shield of men? They worried about the Night King coming? Because that's what it was. It was the same credo. So it made me giggle a bit. That was my note. Like, oh, these motherfuckers taking the black, I guess. They're gonna be up there with Jon Snow, chilling. So, because I guess ain't no sexually active fucking dudes is supposed to be there around all them women, since they got young girls up to this Viola Davis oldest ass in there. Good way to keep them from getting fucked on at night is to have a bunch of eunuchs in that shit. So basically, I guess the other part of the regiment was the fucking Unsullied. I guess that's what it was. Game of Thrones for the win. So, I don't know. It's tough. It was tough to come up here and not even come up here, but to sit there and tell y'all, I didn't think it was that fucking bad. Would I go and watch it again? No, I wouldn't. Some fucked up shit happened in it. It did that I don't like seeing. But on the whole, as a movie, would you watch it and be somewhat entertained? Well, I don't know about you, but as a black man, I find it kind of entertaining that slavers get killed. I kind of do. You know, people who had us all locked in chains and was dragging us on ships and shit like that to take us off and put us to work for them. I find it kind of entertaining to see their ass get killed. It takes to the third act, but they do get killed. I don't have a problem with that shit. And I don't give a fuck really who does it. If I thought the line in Black Panther was funny when Shuri got to call motherfuckers out, oh, colonizer. But what's the next step from calling a motherfucker a colonizer? Depopulating his ass on your continent. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't give a fuck who do it on the screen. I don't mind it. I just like to see it getting done. So it may not be a popular. It's not. It may not. It's not a popular opinion. Trust me. I didn't come to this shit arbitrarily just to be reactionary. But it's not a goddamn true story. It's not. I don't give a shit about some white women writing it. White folks writing a lot of shit. I don't give a fuck if there's women in the lead. That shit don't fucking matter to me. Did anybody else see Ghost in the Shell? Woman lead. Little ass woman at that. She kicking and shooting everybody. That's been the content of our movies for a while. I love The Fifth Element. You know who the main character of that one? Mila Jovovich, little bony ass. She out there kicking people ass. She's the Fifth Element. Now, I'm not saying that all this shit passes me by, but I don't want to act like it's brand new to me just because this one came out and the chicks kind of look like me. At the very least, I'm thankful for none of these bitches in here was acting like they was lesbians. They had some shit to say about men, but what none of them talking about they was lesbian. Thankfully. That's why it was objectionable to me to see Sheila Tim's ass in here like she low-key lesbian herself. Like, again? Damn, it's the third fucking movie I seen you in doing this shit. They ain't got nothing else for you to play? Fuck. So that's my thing on it. What is actually objectionable? A black woman beating up a black man or killing a black man? Motherfucker, that. Look, listen to Dr. T. Wednesday is a day away. I'm sure on one of his news reports, that will be up there. Pretty sure. Some chick has killed a black man recently. It is not a stretch of the imagination. And we don't need a movie to tell us this is what they show in the world, that we just divided and we fight each other. Nigga, do you live in a real world? We do that shit right now. Today. This movie ain't showing shit that we don't already fucking do. Look, if that shit didn't happen, you wouldn't have an SYSBM movement, would you? You wouldn't have a red pill. Because that shit happens anyway. Only difference is in the real world, sometimes it's a 400-pound chick on some little skinny nigga. You ain't got no freedom. Stop acting brand new to this shit. Look, I object to shit I find objectionable. I went into this looking to be disappointment and have shit on my face. The only shit I got on my face right now is I went in unclean. I had to come out and actually rationally think about some of this shit, what worked and what didn't, what worked in the script, what didn't work on the script. Because I don't have the benefit of having all the history of the Dahomey in my head. So I'm just having to judge the movie on the fucking movie. Understanding that it's based on something that was true, but the story ain't fucking true. So at the end of the day, it's a fucking movie. Is it entertaining or is it not? Wasn't that bad. But with this movie, the funny part is everything outside of it is what's objectionable. If you're that put off about black women killing black men, I suggest you go back and ask yourself, how much did you like that first Kick Ass? And that little white girl killed up a bunch of niggas. I found that objectionable. And I said so at the time. Now, Dr. T, I never said I enjoyed it. That's not what I said. I said it wasn't that bad as a movie. Wasn't that bad. You know what I felt for in the movie? The woman who gave up her child that she conceived from being fucking raped. Excuse me, great. That little sex hate baby that she gave up end up coming back to her and being trained by her. That's kind of fucked up. But it is a nice little bit of symmetry story-wise. It's like the family you walked away from and the young boy you met that, man, I should take him under my wing. He's pretty good or whatever. And you're finding out that's that fucking kid you walked away from with that bitch. And you get a chance to mentor him and do better than you did in the beginning. Yeah, BGS, you ain't got no freedom because that's real life. In real life, you can see black women beating up men, beating on men, killing men. No, we don't like it. No, we don't like it. As black men, we don't like that shit. I don't like it. But I'm not sitting here and saying it don't fucking exist. And that this movie is pointing out something that doesn't actually exist in the real world. Can't be shocked by this. I live in the real world. Whatever the fuck, dude. It's a goddamn movie. Bitches be killing dudes all the time. Charles was a cop. He can tell you the shit. Some of you bright motherfuckers that look up all the statistics can prove it. So where's the argument? That they put it in a movie? So I'm not saying I enjoyed it. I just said it wasn't that bad. And I've seen some shitty movies. I can tell you this. It was better than Matrix Resurrection. And even that piece of shit, there were little things in it that I did like. Same thing with this fucking movie. Little things that I did like. So I don't know what to tell y'all. That's it is what it is. I couldn't come out and sit up there and fucking lie and like, yeah, I fucking hated it. It was just motherfucker, look, it wasn't that damn bad. Whatever. Get hate for that shit, get hate for this shit. It is what the fuck it is. But I can't sit up there and tell you that I hated some shit that I didn't think was that bad. I can't tell you I love some shit that I knew inside I fucking detest. So it is what it is. Y'all got some comments, you got some questions. I wasn't listening, wasn't reading your comments because I tried to keep my mental flow going on what I wanted to hit on and understand. But the main point for me is that if you don't like the fact that a movie like this was made, was written by a couple of fucking white chicks, then please, for the love of whatever God you believe in, start writing shit. Don't let, and it'll sound like a shot. It's not a shot. I'm actually really proud of the brother. But don't let Eric July be the only motherfucker you know of who publicly made his own shit because he said it enough times that he hated what they were doing. So he did it his fucking self. Don't let him be the only one. If you think Spike Lee and some of these other black directors and fucking fell off the map or sold out or whatever the fuck, well, you ain't sold out yet. Start writing some shit. I'm sick of hearing fucking complaining and no goddamn action. I don't control Hollywood. I don't control the movies that get made. I don't control who's sitting in the boardrooms. I don't control who got a script running around trying to sell it to a studio to try to get it made. I don't control none of that shit. You know what I do control? Where I put my fucking money to go watch. If you put your shit where somebody can see it, I will give you money for it. It didn't take but to mention that Ripper had a comic coming out. Gave him my money. Didn't give a fuck about it after I did it. Only thing I want to see, you got the money for the book, give me the book. And keep going and keep doing it. That's all I care about. People putting their voice out there. People who look like fucking me, see the same shit that I see, and want to see this shit changed around. You want people to take you serious? Get active. It should, if I want to be really rude about the shit, it shouldn't take more than 30 days for any black man within the sound of my voice to write his own goddamn script for a bunch of black characters. Shouldn't take you more than 30 days. How long you think these bitches spent writing this shit? You know history, right? We got some of the smartest black men I ever seen on the internet most of the fucking week. None of you motherfuckers know how to write. You got all the history. You got all the knowledge. It should be a simple fix to pull this shit out just like these two goofy bitches did and pull something from our history and write a whole story about it. And sit down at the table like, okay, the Indian people got their RRR. These white bitches and threw up this women king for these black chicks. Okay, this is what I got for you. This is how I improve and go past the Black Panther. What's the holdup? I don't see this mentality any different than how Charles and Cerulean was talking about the Great Faulkner Initiative, how you get into police departments, military, and all the rest of that shit. You flood it with black folks. They can't keep all of you out. And since all these other goofy bitches get into these departments and get these money, get these benefits, what's your goddamn excuse? You're leaving all the money on the table for them? Well, it's no different for all you non-combative, super masculine motherfuckers. Look, if you can be every gay man in fashion, you can be every writing motherfucker in somebody's screenplays. As goofy as it was, Robert Townsend did it. Hollywood Shuffle, Meteor Man. Goofy as you might think it was. That motherfucker did a whole movie on fucking credit cards in the 80s. You got motherfuckers now who can make a whole movie on their fucking laptop. What's the holdup? You don't like white folks putting out images of you? Then put out your own and flood them with it. Because I can tell you this, what you'll know, since black folks are the trendsetters, the innovators, the creatives, if you put it out there, everybody else will get on board. Because they always like to be where the hot shit is. And we don't do nothing but create new hot shit. That's it. I'm done. I'm gonna take my ass in here and take a shower and go to fuck to bed and think about what creative thing I can do tomorrow. But for today, that Woman King shit is over for me. I've seen it. It's over. Wasn't that bad. Moving the fuck on. I will let them have their time in the sun because I can't stop it. But I will go on and try to help influence brothers that look like me to put their voices, their ideas out there so they don't have to leave it to other people and complain about how other people depict you. Depict your fucking self. And I'll support it wholeheartedly. So, like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. It ain't popular, but it's honest. And it is what the fuck it is. So, see you guys next time. Peace.